So when I was in high school, I used to sleep past noon on the weekends a lot, like a lot of high schoolers do. And whenever I would wake up and wander outside my bedroom still in my pajamas, my parents would do this thing where they'd shout, "She lives!" every time they saw me. So I kind of feel like that's sort of what people on my channel are doing every time I release a new video nowadays. Sorry about that. Hello, this is Giant Keeper 96600, and I am here to review the 2019 live-action remake of Aladdin, based off the Disney Renaissance classic. Now, I actually wasn't sure if I was going to do this review, because as you all know, Aladdin came out last weekend, and I usually like to do my film reviews on opening weekend, if not opening day. But when I went to see this movie, first of all, the theater was pretty packed, which isn't that rare for a Friday the week after. One, much like Detective Pikachu, this was a theater that had no kids. Like, they were all adults, which I wasn't expecting. Like, for Pikachu, I kind of got it because it was Thursday. Here it's Friday, and maybe it's because of the theater I went to was a little bit higher brow, so maybe that's why I've been seeing a lot of adults at these movies. But, like, I've seen kids at this theater before, so, like, the fact that, yeah. But also, seeing this movie live, not live, but, like, with a live crowd, made me realize I kind of underestimated the Aladdin fandom. Like, it's bigger than I thought, and this movie is more beloved than I thought. Don't get me wrong, I love Aladdin, but it's not my favorite Disney movie. But I have talked to people who say that it is. One of my coworkers at my internship, and I were talking about this movie before it came out, and she mentioned that Aladdin is her favorite Disney movie. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, you know, one person who says Aladdin their Disney movie is, you know, not that unusual, but, like, the theater, they clapped and cheered when the title appeared and when the director's name appeared, and they cheered after a lot of the songs too. Like, like after the Prince Ali song, A Whole New World, and Never Had a Friend Like Me, they clapped after all of those songs, and they were, like, so into it. Like, there wasn't as much fangasming as there was with Detective Pikachu, but there was a lot more than I was expecting there to be. So, yeah, like, maybe more than with, I think more than with the Beauty and the Beast remake 2 years ago. So, like, okay, the Aladdin fandom is pretty solid, and that's probably because, because of there probably were a lot of fans from the TV series there, or at least people who grew up familiar with the TV series. And I know that that has a sizable fandom. But two, Aladdin is kind of, the original Aladdin kind of loses the fairy tale feel and more of like a crowd-pleasing kind of fun fairy tale. I'm not saying that Aladdin is lower brow than something like Beauty and the Beast, but it does have like this kind of mad energy to it that's very, like, high concept, I guess, like very child-pleasing, very likable bubbliness that is kind of unique to it. Like, I don't know how many other Disney films. I feel like the Disney parks have a closer energy to the original Aladdin film than to the other Disney Renaissance films. So I guess that, like, that kind of snappiness connects with people in this way. So, yeah, basically this crowd who are, like, gasping and laughing and, like, getting really into this film, or what made me decide, like, no, I feel like there's enough people who'd be interested, even a week late, to hear my opinion on all this. So, for this review, I'm not going to recap the story like I usually do, because seeing this film tonight has convinced me that everybody already knows the story. So I'm just going to talk about, like, broader strokes things, and then maybe get into the nitpicky changes. So the first thing I want to talk about is the characters. And again, seeing this movie in live action has made me really appreciate just how iconic the original animated characters were. Like, and again, I like them. I watched them as a kid. I laughed at the jokes. But, like, it made me realize, like, not just the genie, and I'll get to that in a second, but, like, a lot of the side characters, like, Jafar and Aladdin himself and Iago and even Raja. Like, these are, like, really iconic Disney faces, and, like, everybody grew up with Iago, and everybody knows Jafar, and everybody knows... Okay, so the cast, of course, as with any remake, but especially for a movie like this, is going to get compared to the originals. So how do they fare up? Well, first of all, the star, Mina Masood, I hope I pronounced that right, plays Aladdin, and I honestly think he was perfectly cast. Aladdin is kind of a weird character in that he's, like, supposed to be, like an Arabian, like, street thief, though the country is called Araba, it's a fictional country, but he's, like, supposed to be, like, this street kid, but he always has, like, this kind of, like, Ken doll, like, sort of presentation to him. Like, he's got like this winning smile with all these perfectly clean teeth, and he's got like this 90s attitude. It's like, I am Prince Ali Ababa. Like, shit-eating grin and shit. Like, the Mina, the guy who plays him in live action, has all of that to kind of an uncanny degree. It's like if they put the original through some kind of like reality printing machine and out came this guy. He's got the Ken doll smile, he's got the perfect hair, he's got like that, you know, kid-friendly roguish thing where it's like not really a rogue, it's like the rogue who would greet you at a live show at Disney World. Hold on, sip of water. I don't think he really brings anything new to the character. It's just like the same character, but now he's in 3D. It's very odd. Like, where did they find this guy? He's exactly like the original. Princess Jasmine is also deserves talking about. So I saw a post a couple weeks ago, basically saying that Princess Jasmine, first of all, Disney says this with every single Disney princess they come up with. Basically said, like, this is a new princess, and she's strong and independent, and she's not like those other girly princesses. Like, okay, first of all, Disney, can you, like, not badmouth every Disney princess that came before every time you roll out a new one? Can you please not? It's, like, not nice. Like, those other princesses are cool. You don't have to diss them to praise one. You don't have to diss one woman to praise another. That's not required. Second of all, don't talk shit about Jasmine. Like, everyone was talking. I saw this one post that really made a lot of people mad, including, it irritated me. Or like, Princess Jasmine is like this passive princess who only cares about getting married, and I'm like, what the fuck movie were you watching? Jasmine was not obsessed with getting married. All the men around her were. Her deal was that she just didn't want to be forced to get married, and that if she did, and she does say if, she wants it to be with a guy she, you know, wants to spend her life with. Why are you making her passive? Like, why are you trying to pretend you're trying to, don't you be dissing my girl Jasmine. So that whole debacle of like, this is the stronger, independent Jasmine, unlike the other who was such a pushover, like, shut the fuck up. So my opinion on this Jasmine was a little tainted by that going in. But I gotta say, I like this Jasmine. I mean, I remember also, long before this movie came out, before we saw Will Smith in blue face paint, we saw, like, the poster that had the three main characters on it, Genie, Aladdin, and Jasmine. And people were saying, like, Jasmine is the only one who, like, looks like she fits in this setting. Like, she was, like, in full costume and the makeup, and she had, like, this confident smile, and, like, yeah, she looks like she could be from, like, a high-budget film that was actually, like, from the Middle East. Like, she looks good and classy and all that stuff. So how's the character? Character's pretty good too. Now, the actual story behind Jasmine is a little clumsy. In fact, clumsy is sort of the word of the day for a lot of the flaws in this movie. She's like, so basically, I do kind of like the change to her motivation. Where in the original, she didn't want to be forced to marry just for love. In this version, it goes beyond that. She doesn't want to be it's not just that she doesn't want to be forced to marry. She wants to be sultan, which is a problem because she's a woman. And like, when she tells her dad, like, when he's trying to marry off to these princes from different countries, she's like, Father, I should be sultan because I'm the one who lived here and these other princes are foreign and they don't know our country. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense, and that's a good update to it. Like, no, it's just that it's not just that I want to choose who I want to love. It's like, I am a modern woman. I'm my ambitions go beyond just who I end up with. It's like, no, I think I should run the country. I'm the best choice. And the dad says, oh, well, it's never been done before. Like, you know, it's just dismissing, and like, yeah, I do like that motivation. That's actually a good update. And Jasmine's subplot is kind of inflated. Not to the point where it becomes obnoxious, in my opinion, but it is, there are, like, elements of it that I like. For example, I mentioned before that a lot of the princes that come in are foreign. And we see, the asshole prince in the original who, like, tries to whip a kid. What was up with that guy? And wears heart-shaped boxers for some reason. Well, heart-printed boxers. Is replaced by a prince in a totally ridiculous outfit, who says that he's from Scotland, but I think he's actually from, like, like whatever that country was that neighbored Narnia in the third Narnia book. Like, he's got a ridiculous accent, and I need to emphasize again how white this guy is. Like, he comes in and he has like this stupid cartoony accent. He's like, "Oh, princess, hello. I have fury." And he doesn't know what Raja is because he's never seen a tiger before. He's like, "This is a kitty. I will pet the kitty." And like, we cut away, presumably before the slaughter. Though we see that guy later. Apparently he didn't die from a tiger attack, which is the impression I got when the camera cut away. But anyway. And like, Jasmine's like, "Come on, you want me to marry this guy? You want him to be sultan? Like, he doesn't know our people at all." And she's like, "I know our people." And like, Jafar and the sultan come in, and they're like, "Well, Jasmine, it's like nice that you've read a lot, you've done a lot of study, but you need experience to be sultan, and you don't have that." And I actually love how subtle that sexism is, because basically the unspoken thing is, if she had a penis, it wouldn't matter if she were experienced. like as little experience as she has, this guy probably has like I doubt he can put his shoes on by himself. Like, he's like, but he's got a dick, so it doesn't matter if he's unexperienced. Penis is the same thing as experienced. And I like that because they don't say that, but you can put the pieces together yourself. Like, even if you're a kid, which again, none of the people in this theater were. What is up with that? But most of the sexism in Jasmine's subplot is not that subtle. Like, Jafar, like, you know, goes on this rant several times about how she should stay silent, and he's, like, very, like, asshole-ish guy about it, like, you should just be seen and not heard, like, in the very obvious, "I am wrong" kind of way. I don't know if it's pandering, or if it's just not done subtly, or if they felt like they have to emphasize it to make Jasmine stronger, but, it's, like, it's not as strong. Jasmine, though, does get her own song about this. Like, you know how in the Beauty and the Beast remake, we got a bunch of new songs, none of which were from the Broadway version? This one, we only have two. One is an extended version of Arabian Nights, which was the song at the very beginning of the original movie, but this version is like 3 minutes long. It kicks ass, by the way. The second is Jasmine's solo, which is called Speechless. And presumably based off of one line from Jafar in the original, where he tells Jasmine, "You're speechless, I see. An excellent quality in a wife." So they named a whole song, and they called it Speechless. And it's basically in two parts. So Jasmine sings, and the soundtrack, it isn't two parts, it's just one long, like, 4-minute thing. In the actual film, Jasmine sings the first part that lasts a minute and a half, right after she's told off from wanting to be sultan. And it's pretty bland, just the first part of it by itself. Like, this is gonna sound really bad, but I couldn't help thinking of the song Princess Yum Yum sings in the Miramax cut of The Thief and the Cobbler. She's like, "But she is more than this. There's a mind in the body of this pretty miss. Spin, 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 spin." There's a lot of spinning in that song. Like, and I'm like, oh dear. But later, much later in the film, it gets a reprise where she gets to sing the rest of the song. And while the melody is still very standard Oscar Beatty, like, Naomi Scott can sing. And she's, like, belting it out, and, like, "I won't be silent." It's like, ooh. So, yeah, it is kind of cool that Jasmine gets her own song and her own subplot. It's not fully, completely there, but I'll get to that when I talk about plot more in detail later. Now I'm going to talk about the big one, which is Genie. The moment they announced that they were remaking this film, people were mad. When they announced Will Smith, they were mad. When we saw Will Smith blue, people were kind of nauseated. Like, at every step of the way, Will Smith and the film and the filmmakers and Disney have been getting flack for replacing Robin Williams. And I totally get it. Like, we're still grieving. We all miss him. He left too soon. I understand why you're upset. But at the same time, I don't blame people and the fan base for being mad. I also do not blame Will Smith. Robin Williams' death was a tragedy. This performance and character, like I said, is iconic. Like, a real pop culture icon. And no matter who they got, it was going to upset people. And of course, the solution there is like, well, don't remake it. But here's the thing. Other people have played Genie before Will Smith. Like, if you like, the same coworker I was talking about who said that Aladdin is her favorite Disney movie said, like, they recast him for the Broadway version, and people don't have a heart attack over that. Dan Castellaneta voiced Genie, doing a kind of impression of Robin Williams for the Disney afternoon cartoon. People didn't have a heart attack over that. Hell, people defend it if they grew up with that cartoon. So, like, you know, this is not Will Smith's fault, and I don't think, like, recasting Genie is an insult to Robin Williams' memory or anything. Like, I wouldn't go that far. I've heard a lot of people say that they love Will Smith as a Genie, that he carries the movie, that he saved the film, that he's perfect. I just thought he was okay. I mean, he wasn't bad, and Will Smith does have a certain inherent likability that only a few films, After Earth, have been able to shake off him. But, like, it is true that, like, Dan Castellaneta you felt like he was in a box the entire time he was voicing Genie, because he felt like he was just trying to be Robin Williams. Will Smith had the advantage that he doesn't have to be Robin Williams because he's Will Smith. He's got his own kind of brand that he can push, and his own identity that people recognize. And while he is funny, he doesn't crack me up the way Robin Williams did. And, like, I feel like part of it might be my age, because a lot of the jokes that Robin Williams made are roaringly funny to small children. Like, the line where, like, in the climax where he's like, Jafar, he's our man. If he can't do it, great! That's kind of a stupid joke. But as a kid, it makes you piss your pants laughing. So I don't know if I've just kind of outgrown this flavor of humor. But, there are not many lines where Will Smith gets the kind of riotous reaction that I remember Robin Williams getting out of me. There are a few bits. There's one bit where Genie is actually giving Aladdin kind of a lecture about how with genies you have to be specific with your wishes. So, like, you have to phrase things exactly right or it could leave gray area. And as an example, when Aladdin says, make me a prince, he actually makes a prince appear way in the distance. And it's not a joke that he makes, but it is funny, and it's something that I feel like has a Will Smith kind of flavor to it instead of Robin Williams flavor to it, because the prince, like, way in the background is just like, hello? Where am I? It's kind of funny. He's like I said before, people know Will Smith can sing, and he does not disappoint. He actually opens the film with the Arabian Night number, and at first I wasn't totally in, because before the Arabian Night number you get a framing device. Now, as you recall from the original, there was a framing device where the guy sings Arabian Night, like this peddler sings Arabian Nights, and you zoom in and he, like, starts this Robin Williams kind of brief shtick, which was all ad-libbed, by the way, and then he launches into the story. In this version, it's a little backwards. You see Will Smith as a human on a ship with a human family, and to quiet his kids down, I guess, he starts to tell them the story, and then goes into the song. And when I was watching this framing device, I'm like, okay, I've heard this mixed things about this movie, I've heard it's not that great, so what do you got? So he starts singing Arabian Nights, and while he's singing it, sorry, my nose is itchy, the camera actually, like, moves over to Agrabah and goes on this long shot without a cut, just panning through the city. Like, it starts on Abu, and it follows Abu up, climbing on Aladdin's shoulders, and you don't see Aladdin's face at this point, you only see his back and head. And then it pans past, and it goes in the palace where you see Jasmine with Raja, and then it pans out and goes out into the desert where you see Jafar and, in front of the Cave of Wonders, and, like, it's all one shot while Will Smith is singing, and, like, there's this one moment where, like, the shot pans up to the front of the palace, and it's right at the same moment Will Smith is going, Arabian Nights, like Arabian days, and at that point I was like, yes! I am all in! I am totally ready for this movie! Like, so that was amazing. And, like, Will Smith keeps it up with the singing. Like, for that opening shot, like, that shot is one of the highlights of the movie. And, like, seeing all these old characters that we're familiar with, and, like, just the singing and the shot and, like, everything about it. Where was I going? Oh, yeah. The songs themselves are also good, too. Like, every song that Will Smith sings, he nails. He even does sort of, like, a hip-hop remakes of A Friend Like Me in the credits. And it sounds pretty good, too. There are a few moments where the choreography isn't great, like for the Friend Like Me number, which was pretty well done. There were even some effects and shots that mimic the original, though it also, like, it was like Will Smith putting a spin on it and not just reciting the same things as Robin Williams the entire time, which makes sense because a lot of Robin Williams' dialogue, like I mentioned, is ad-libbed. They actually, apparently Disney has archived like hours and hours of audio from Robin Williams when he was just going nuts behind the booth for a genie. Audio that they could not put in the film because it was hours long. Second, it was too raunchy for the, for the film. But there were other moments like, I was a little bit disappointed with Prince Ali. Not that it didn't sound good, but the staging was kind of limited. So basically, when they come in and they're singing the song, the camera just sticks with the parade as it moves through, and it moves through at the speed of like an actual parade, and it just stays on Will Smith, occasionally showing Aladdin or the people in the parade. It's like very up and down kind of staging. And I remember in the original, it was like, it kind of like moved through the camera kind of moved through the city in the anime. Like Genie was zipping here and there and like impersonating people and changing shape, and like it felt very dynamic. This it feels like you're following an actual parade, and it's not super exciting, though maybe I'm the only one who thought so because everybody else clapped. And like when Will Smith was singing Friend Like Me, you know the lyric is, ain't never had a friend like me. It's like, well, I mean, we did. His name was Robin Williams. So, like, that lyric has an unfortunate double meaning that kind of sabotages things. Though I do like with Arabian Nights, Will Smith, of course, sings hop a carpet and fly to another Arabian Nights. It's like, well, this is another Arabian Nights because it's the remake. So, you know, sometimes the lyrics work for it and sometimes work against it. But anyway, Will Smith was good. He wasn't great. I didn't think he was the best thing in the movie or anything. I don't think there was any one element that was the best thing in the movie. I think there were scenes that got me hyped. Like, the opening scene was amazing. Or the scene after the opening scene. But, there wasn't any one thing where, like, every time it was on screen, I was like, yes, fuck yes. Not for me, personally. But that's enough of the heroes. Let's talk about the villains. Oh. Okay. Let me just say, I looked up the guy who plays Jafar in this. First of all, I saw almost nothing of Jafar. Like, I didn't watch any of the trailers before this movie came out. I don't know how much the marketing focused on him, but the poster focuses on him very little. Like, he's like a little speck, like way in the distance. You can barely see him. So I looked up the actor afterward. His name is Marwan Kansari, and oh man, he had an uphill battle with this. Like, maybe even more than Will Smith did. Like I said, Will Smith is a recognizable kind of icon, and like, he can bring his own, and he isn't totally stuck in the shadow of the original character the entire time. This guy is. Jafar is one of, like, the all-time, as far as Disney villains go, he's one of the all-time greats. Not because he's a particularly complex character. He isn't. He's very static, has very, like, almost shallow motivations. Like, I want power, I want things, rah, look at me and my evil plans. Like, but where Jafar absolutely succeeded was in presentation. Every time that the original Jafar was on screen or in the room, you just felt the scumminess of it. Like, with the jagged pointed lines and that, like, rolling voice. It's like, he was scum every time he was on screen, but he was a very likable kind of scum. I would even say lovable kind of scum. And a lot of his evil deeds and lines just make me laugh still thinking about them. Like, I already mentioned the aforementioned speechless line in Jasmine. But even, like, the most childish things, just the way the original actor, like, portrayed it, like when he's like, I think it's time to say goodbye to Prince Abubu. I'm laughing just in reciting it. Just poorly imitating it, but he just had this charisma to him that was wonderful. This guy I'm sure he's trying, but he's just not into it, and I'm not sure what actor could bring this kind of this kind of performance to live action, but I've seen actors go over the top villain before, and Marwan Kansari chose to play it almost subtle. I say almost because it's a very awkward kind of subtle, where he's like, first of all, his voice isn't nearly as cool as the original. It's like this high-pitched kind of kicked dog sound. Like, he constantly sounds like he's about to burst into tears. Like, Princess Jasmine, you can't be sassing me about being sultan. It's not fair. It's like, come on, dude. But he wasn't really wooing me in. It wasn't just the voice. I didn't get what it was until near the end of the film, like right before the climax. So basically, if you remember the story, Jafar figures out Aladdin was lying about being a prince and gets the land back from him, and he like sends him to the far off Arctics where he can presumably die of cold. So, hold on, let me take another sip. So after I saw a post on Tumblr, after I saw a post on Tumblr. After I saw this movie, I saw a post on Tumblr asking, like, does Jafar sing the reprise of Prince Ali? And does he slap Aladdin before sending him off? And the answer is no and no in both of those. And, like, that post and the disappointed response and the moment when that happened, when I saw it, made me realize what's wrong with Jafar. He is not having nearly enough fun. Like, the original Jafar, even in moments where he was losing, you could tell the actor was having a ball. He was, like, very cackly and laughing, and, like, the scene where he realizes Aladdin has the laugh, and Iago thinks he's cracking up, and, like, oh boy, he's cracked. Like, those are good moments. This guy, he's playing it way too serious and way too subdued. And, like, yes, there are moments when he laughs. Yes, there are moments where he's triumphant, but there aren't enough of them. So it just seems like he's kind of going through emotions. I mean, the costume looks alright, and he still has the glowing staff where he commands people, and he still does scary stuff with his powers, but it's not the same. Iago is also a downgrade. Again, Iago with, Gilbert Gottfried, that's the actor's name, is iconic. Everybody knows Gilbert Gottfried is Iago. And, like, when you think the name Iago, you don't think Shakespeare Othello. You think this bird and this voice. And Disney, in their infinite wisdom, chose in the live-action remake to not only not bring Gilbert Gottfried back, but to have Iago sound like an actual parrot. Goody. So, like, there's a moment in the original where, like, early on, where Iago is pretending to be a real parrot, like, wonders, stuff like that, and then he turns to Jafar and goes, geez, what'd you get this bozo up? Like, it's a great moment. It's a great subversion of your expectation first time you're watching the movie. I kept waiting for that moment in this film, but it never came. Iago just stays a parrot in the entire film, and yeah, he's saying stuff that's, like, clearly stuff that a parrot wouldn't say. Like, he, comments on a way that reflects intelligence behind his speech and not just repeating shit the way a parrot does. But he just sounds like a parrot, and his face is parrot-like. It's, like, very much, he's just like the animal companion. He's not the sidekick the way he was in the original, and oh man, I miss that. Like, come back, Iago. Come back. There are only 2 moments where the villains really impressed me. The first happens right before Aladdin goes into Cave of Wonders. So in this version, Jafar doesn't disguise himself as an old man. Instead, the first time he meets Aladdin, he's actually in his real identity as the vizier, and he convinces Aladdin to go in. And he already knows that Aladdin is a thief, and Aladdin has shown some pretty skillful pickpocketing from us, like taking the necklace off a woman in a way we can't see, and then, like, giving somebody payment for food only to take it back when they're not looking. Like, really skilled sleight of hand. But then while he's talking to Jafar, like, points out that, I know you're a thief, and while he's talking, like, first of all, earlier in the film, Aladdin took a hairpin from Jasmine saying that he's going to give it back later. It's like a little flirty thing. When Jafar's talking to Aladdin, he suddenly pulls out the hairpin that Jasmine was wearing, which causes Aladdin to be like, wait, when did you? So Jafar explains, while twirling the hairpin on his finger, that he actually came from the streets of Agrabah too, and that he used to be a lowly thief before he clawed his way to the top and became vizier. When I saw that scene, I was like, oh wow. We're actually getting a backstory for Jafar, and a really interesting one too. Why that makes Aladdin and Jafar foils. They came from the same streets, but they grew up with different ideals. Man, I can't wait to see what they do with this film. Oh, nothing? They're not doing anything with it? Okay. Yeah, they don't do anything with that concept, even though it's really intriguing. I feel like fanfic writers are going to do more with that concept than the film did, which is really a shame. The other moment that impressed me with Jafar was during the climax, where basically the Sultan, while Jasmine and Aladdin are busy with Iago, I'll talk more about that later if I have time. The Sultan actually, even though his hands are tied, knocks over Jafar in his full sorcerer powers and makes Jafar drop the staff. And, of course, the staff is the source of his power, and Sultan's like, you're nothing without your staff! Without saying a word, Jafar reaches over the balcony and holds his hand up, and then, like, Harry Potter broomsticks the staff up to his hand. Like, in the first movie, when Harry holds his hand up, it goes, up! And the broomstick goes, Jafar just does that without saying anything, and then he looks at the Sultan like, what? And that was kind of cool. Though, with both of those moments, both the hairpin thing and the staff thing, it was cool, but it was only cool because I was thinking about it in the context of Jafar, and not Marwan Kansari as Jafar. It'd be like, man, those moments would be cool if they were in the original film. But they aren't. They're in this film. So, mention the characters and the story. If you know the story, you basically know what the characters do, and they do change it up a bit, but they don't insert like a bunch of irrelevant side plots the way they did in Beauty and the Beast. There's no magic atlas or any time killer like that in this version. And like I said, the new songs are kept kind of to a minimum. But they do change things around, and some of the changes work, and some of them don't work. For example, in this version, we don't actually get any dialogue from Jasmine until she's already snuck out of the palace. Like, the first time we, the audience, get a really good look at her is when she's giving the kids the food from the stall without paying. That's the first time we see her. So, like, I guess they're trying to play it like it's kind of a surprise that this is the princess, the way that Aladdin is also surprised, but, like, if you know the film, you're not surprised, so I'm not sure why they bothered. But, it also does lead to a bit of a minor plot hole where Jasmine claims later that she's the best choice to be Sultan because she knows the kingdom and she's researched extensively on it, but she, like, didn't know that you have to pay for stuff at a food stall. Which, in the original, made sense, because Jasmine lived a sheltered life, and she's never been outside the palace walls, and we never see her reading anything. Hell, we don't even know if she can. I mean, she probably can, but we don't know that for sure. But, no, in this version, the cultured and well-read Jasmine didn't know that you gotta pay for bread. This does lead to the nice bit where, instead of fooling the guy into thinking that Jasmine is, mentally ill, the way he does in the original, Aladdin instead offers Jasmine's bracelet to the guy as payment, and then while the guy isn't paying attention, Aladdin swipes it back. Like, I would not be good at doing because I have butterfingers. So, one, that shows Aladdin's skill as a thief. Two, it's actually, you know, a nice way for him to interact with Jasmine that's different from the original. Not every change... Okay, before I talk about changes that don't work, let me talk about another one that does work. So, in the original film, after Aladdin gets, like, you see the huge princely entourage and everything, Aladdin comes in, and he has a scene where he doesn't actually interact with Jasmine that much. He just sort of measures dicks with Jafar until Jasmine comes in and gets mad at them and leaves. And then the next scene after that is the Brave New World. That's different. Whole New World thing. So, like, there isn't a whole lot of interaction with Aladdin as Prince before he gets revealed. In this version, there's actually more, and I do like that, because we see after the Prince Ali bit, Aladdin comes in to present the gifts to Jasmine, and he blows it. Like, he clearly... And this is something that's leaned into in this version way more than the original, and I do think it's actually a good plot to explore. Aladdin has wished to look like a prince, but he has no idea how to act like it. He doesn't know what to say, he doesn't know how to dance, he doesn't know how to do anything. He's just standing there, and it's like, he's like a kid dressed up for Halloween. He's like, I have brought things. I come from a land far away in that direction. And it's embarrassing, and it only gets more embarrassing the longer it goes. But it's the good kind of embarrassing, where, like, it's funny. There's actually one bit where, like, Jasmine asks, like, what are you intending to buy with all of this? And Aladdin actually says, you! And everyone, not just on screen, but in the crowd I was with, went, ooh. Like, did you really just say that? And, like, even Aladdin realizes what he said and tries to backpedal, but it's too late. He fucking said that. There's also a scene after that where there's a party and Aladdin has to schmooze at the party, and he doesn't know how to do that either. So the genie helps Aladdin dance, but he helps him dance so well that he actually ends up showing off, to the degree that it's clear that he's paying more attention to himself than to Jasmine, which makes Jasmine mad and storm out. And I like those moments, because those moments actually get at, like, the core message of the film, which is be yourself. Sounds too simple, but it really is be yourself, because it's all about the diamond in the rough. You know, seeing value where it's not there, and those are good scenes, and they work, and it is nice to kind of see Aladdin fumbling the prince thing before he's able to connect with Jasmine a little bit more. However, there are other moments that are like, why? Um, for just one example, sorry, this is embarrassing. I suddenly just blanked. Wow, total brain fart. It's late. Gonna have to cut that later. I just hit a wall. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I blinked for a second, but I'm back. So basically, there's this huge plot where, not a huge plot, but basically occupies like the first third of the movie, where basically, you know how in the original, Jasmine pretends to be a commoner, and then like Aladdin gets arrested when he's with Jasmine, and Jasmine at that moment reveals to Aladdin that she's the princess. In this film, Aladdin and Jasmine go their separate ways before Aladdin learns that she's really the princess. First of all, Aladdin learns it from Jafar instead of from Jasmine herself, which is weird. But second of all, there's a scene where Aladdin sneaks back into the palace to return the bracelet that Abu accidentally took. That Aladdin did not intend for Abu to took, but Abu took it because he's a monkey, and that's what monkeys do. And basically, anyway, he shows back up to Jasmine's door, thinking that Jasmine is the handmaiden to the princess, so the princess herself, and Jasmine encourages that, like, for no reason I can tell. She keeps trying to pretend to be the princess and gets her handmaiden to pretend to be her, and the handmaiden is even worse at lying than Aladdin is. She's like, yes, I am the princess. I have many things in my things. I will go wash my cat now. That's not an innuendo, is it? Bye. Like, why the fuck are you still lying about not being the princess? He's in your room, and you're in your princess garb that apparently he can't tell the difference between, even though he's supposed to be really good at appraising shit. He could appraise your bracelet instantly and know that it's not something commoners wear, but he can't tell the difference between what a handmaiden wears and what a princess wears. Whatever. And it's like, it builds in this comedy of errors thing, where like Aladdin doesn't know that she's really the princess, but he does know later, but he thinks that the princess doesn't respect him because Jafar said that he doesn't respect him, and that's why he gets the lamp. And what is any of this? There's also the bit in the animated one where Jafar tells Jasmine that he's had Aladdin executed is missing. And like that it's not like it couldn't be there, and actually make it stronger when this guy shows up and she doesn't recognize. First of all, they say that nobody recognizes Aladdin as Prince Ali because that's the side effect of the genie's magic. Like, okay, fair enough. They actually say that and address it, so it's fine. But why does Aladdin believe Jafar about Jasmine not trusting him? Like, why couldn't Jasmine think that Aladdin was executed when a guy who acts just like him shows up? Like, and it's not like the pieces for it to be there aren't there. Like, as in the original, in this version, Jafar is looking for a diamond in the rough and figures out it's Aladdin. Not because a magic hourglass told him to, but because apparently Jafar has been grabbing homeless people off the street and having them brought in to see if they're good enough, and they aren't. But then he looks out of the palace courtyard and sees this guy, like, parkouring, like, kicking and flipping all his way, and he's clearly not a normal person. And he's like, oh, okay, bring me that guy. And how it could be is Jafar could pass Jasmine the lie that he had Aladdin executed for breaking into the palace. Especially since it's mentioned earlier that security has been upped ever since Jasmine's mother died. But no, it's just Aladdin is whisked away. Jasmine expects him to come back with her hairpin, and he never does. And like they don't do anything with it. And like the whole first third is filled up with this weird comedy of errors. It's like not required, and stuff that could be there to make it stronger is taken out. And yeah, I don't get it. I don't get that. The climax is also not as strong, and part of it is again because Marwan Kansari is not the original Jafar, but also like just the way it plays out is not as strong. So in this version, like I remember the original Jafar going absolute joyride, happy nuts with his powers, like turning himself into a giant snake and making all this shit appear, and like turning Rajan into a kitten and trapping up Jasmine in an hourglass and all this stuff. And like, first of all, in this version, Jafar wanting to marry Jasmine is almost an afterthought. Like, he doesn't mention it at all until the very end, and it just seems to be a way to insult the Sultan more than it seems to be motivated by any kind of power or greed for himself. Like, oh, I'm gonna marry your daughter right in front of you. What do you think of that shit? But also, instead of, I kept waiting for Jafar to turn into a snake, but he doesn't. And that upsets me. Instead, what he does is, like, first of all, Jasmine plays more of an active role in the climax here, getting the lamp from Aladdin. And when she sings the Speechless song, it's, the rest of the Speechless song, it's a little bit clumsy, too. Basically, Jasmine able to convince this one guard, whose name is Kazim, who I guess is supposed to be a replacement for the Jim Cummings guard in the original, though he has nothing in common. The guy wants to follow Kazim. Kazim wants to follow Jafar because Jafar is the Sultan now because he made the wish, but Jasmine uses her queenly authority to convince him not to and to follow her and her father instead, even though they've been dethroned. And it's like, why is Jafar just sitting there and letting her say this? Like, Genie didn't list that don't kill people as one of the rules, so you could order the genie to drop a rock on her or even smack her across the mouth or like something. Why are you just sitting there while she convinces this guy to turn against you after he immediately turned toward you? I don't know. But also Jasmine plays a more active role in the climax by getting the lamp away from Jafar, and she and Aladdin go through this chase through the city that I guess is supposed to replace the trippier climax in the original, but it's like, it's not as fun. The one thing that's fun about it, though, is that Jafar uses his power to turn Iago into, like, he basically grows Iago several sizes so that he's kaiju sized. So there's like a pterodactyl sized parrot flying after them through the city. And it's kind of exciting, but it's nowhere near as good as the original climax. And all I could think while that was happening is, God, I wish Gilbert Gottfried was still voicing this parrot. Can you imagine how fucking hilarious that would be if the original Iago turned into, got turned into a giant monster bird? God, I can't even imagine it adequately. It would be so great. Like, I'm the size of a T-Rex. I will blot out the sun. God, it'd be so good. But no, it's on this version. That's fine. So basically, if you know the ending of the original, you know the ending of this one. Aladdin tricks Jafar into using his final wish to turn himself into a genie. But they sort of play it where, like, Jafar, I guess, has this inferiority complex due to his own upbringing. So he, like, Aladdin keeps egging him on that he's not as powerful as Genie, and there'll always be someone who's more powerful than him, and even names drops the song from Return of Jafar second best. He's like, you'll always be second best. And that line was in the original too, but the way he emphasized it made me think, and the way that it was said multiple times throughout the film made me think that they're referencing the song from Return of Jafar, probably. So of course, this is a little clever, though I'm not sure if it's actually better. But Jafar makes the wish to Genie to make me the most powerful being in the cosmos. He does not explicitly say, make me be a genie. But Genie is able to twist that wish, the wording of that wish, and to turn him into a genie who's more powerful than himself so that he gets locked out. And it is clever. I'm not sure if the change was needed, but it is kind of good that they were able to use the you have to make a literal wish with the genie thing against a bad guy for once. That almost never happens in fiction. Genie did foreshadow it too with the aforementioned "make me a prince" joke. So it does kind of work. Though if you're bringing in lawyer type rules, I don't know why you're having, like, you had a scene where you actually had to, like, contract that Aladdin had to sign while he was unconscious underwater, and then you put the pen in his hand and make him move it, like, that counts as making a wish. They also add a weird rule where you have to be rubbing the lamp to make a wish for it to count, so if it's like Simon Says, I guess, so when Aladdin says, I wish you would get me out of this cave, because he didn't rub the lamp, that didn't count as one of his 3 wishes. Like, what? If you're gonna bring in lawyer rules, you could at least be consistent about it. I feel like this film has a lot of the same kind of weird plot snarls that the Beauty and the Beast remake had, which is like, this film has been around so long that people have been able to spot the plot holes. So like, this film feels like it has to try and patch them up, except the attempts to patch it up are always not that great. Like, let me think of an example. Oh yeah, near the end, during the climax, Genie says that Aladdin can use his 3rd wish to basically get rid of the law that says that that Jasmine has to marry a prince, that just make it so that Jasmine can marry whoever she wants. It's like, why are you bringing that up? Like, I feel like they only brought it up because they felt like someone else could, because people were asking why no one brought it up in the original, so they felt like they had to do it here. I remember after I saw the original, one of the times after I watched it, my dad mentioned, like, why didn't Aladdin wish to be a prince and then have Jasmine grab the lamp and wish to set Genie free? And even as a kid, I was like, because shut up. But so having the film actually acknowledge the different possibilities is kind of, I'm not into it. There's also the bit where basically in this version with the Cave of Wonders, Jafar tells Aladdin not to touch anything but the lamp in the cave, whereas the cave doesn't say that. And it makes me wonder how many plot holes, or plot oddities at least, are caused in these films simply by switching them to live action. Like, in the scene where Abu and Aladdin are in the Cave of Wonders in the original, Abu is very tempted to grab things, and when he finally does grab something, it's like a very, like, Abu, don't fucking touch that! How could you, you stupid idiot? Because Abu is a cartoon monkey, and it apparently has human intelligence. In this version, Abu's just a monkey. Like, there are a few times where he reacts to stuff the way a monkey would, and I guess it implies some kind of cartoon thought behind it, but honestly, Abu doesn't do anything that a trained monkey couldn't do. It makes me wonder why they use CGI for so many of his scenes. I guess maybe the director didn't want to film an actual monkey, which I understand that. Monkeys are a real hassle. But still, it's like, so when Aladdin walks in with Abu into the Cave of Wonders, it's like, of course he's gonna take shit, he's a monkey! Now Aladdin is the idiot for bringing a monkey into the fucking Cave of Wonders! And like, Abu doesn't even really take anything. Like, in the original it was very clear, don't touch anything. But in the original, they can touch stuff. It's only taking it that pisses off the Cave of Wonders. So, like, why does Abu holding this ruby for more than a few seconds? Like, how long exactly do you have to hold something for it to count as taking it? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of snarls and weird things like that. One thing I do love about this movie, and I do love this when I see it with any adaptation, I saw it in Detective Pikachu too, is that they really leaned into the, They really tackled it with a kind of sincerity. Like, they weren't trying to keep their distance as an adaptation the way a lot of bad adaptations do. Like, the scene where they're singing One Jump. So, like, first of all, this movie kind of teases with its songs a little bit. I guess it's because whether or not the remakes have songs has been on and off. Like, Dumbo had some of the songs, but they were kind of botched. Beauty and the Beast had all the songs. Jungle Book only had one, the rest were on the soundtrack. And like, so there are a few bits where especially Will Smith is like, oh, no, I'm not going to sing that. And then he launches into a song. So like, I don't think that kind of lampshade hanging is necessary. But in the scene where they're singing One Jump, like the entire, all the crowd and like extras are getting into it and they're saying all the same lines and Aladdin is parkouring through everything. And like he lands in that, in the original it was kind of a brothel, but here it seems to be like some sort of class full of women. They're like, and the woman is like, I played Paris except me, except he hasn't got you know, that kind of thing. And it's like, it's very cartoony, but in a way that's likable. It's like, it has a Broadway feel to it that's nice. It's like, they're not trying to shy away or distance themselves from the silliness for the most part. Like, they're going full into it. I do appreciate the sincerity on that view. So, basically, all of this rambling has led me to the conclusion that a lot of other people have reached, which is this film is hit or miss. It does have the same spirit as the original, and I will admit that it is very fun. Like, I had a blast watching this movie, and part of it had to do with the crowd I was with, but also part of it had to do with, the songs were good. It's very visually, very nice looking. And it does have the same frenetic energy to it, but, like, there are plot points that are clumsily handled. Not every character hits their mark, and it's just, no matter what it did, it was going to feel derivative. So it does suffer from that, and it is one of those films, like, this film doesn't have to exist. We had fun, it brought joy, it made a lot of people a lot of money, but, I could, like, see a world where the animated one never exists and Disney just came out with this live-action film called Aladdin. It became a smash hit. I can see that world, but we don't live in that world. We live in the timeline where the animated one came out first, so this one feels derivative. I will say that at the very end of the film, not the very end, but in the moment before the end of as the climax is wrapping up, where Jafar gets pulled into the lamp, they do a very obvious sequel hook that they usually don't do for these live-action remakes, where Jafar is getting dragged in the lamp. He's like, "I'll remember you, boy!" He's as he's getting dragged in. I'm like, are they actually going to make a sequel to this? Like, has that been confirmed? Because if we get a high-budget, big-screen remake of Return of Jafar, this entire live-action debacle might be worth it. I sincerely mean that. Like, let's get Return of Jafar. Like, why not? I mean, this Jafar is like, but, like, the original Return of Jafar was like, so, like, whatever. Like, let's see what we can do with that. So I'd be up for that if they're willing to do it. So this film is likable, yet flawed, and can't fully escape the shadow of the original. So that's my long rambling review on Aladdin. I hope you enjoyed it. Yes, I am planning to do a review on the Lion King movie when that comes out. And boy, if the fans for Aladdin were crazy, then the fans for Lion King that's going to be a trip. But I am looking forward to that trip. This is DragonKeeper 96600 signing off.